Exercise 5-6 is asking us to get at cost of goods sold information plus inventory balances for the month of June. It asks us to use the direct method, which in effect is taking into account changes in inventory in order to determine our cost of goods sold. We were given a set of information that actually builds out much of the inventory information that we're going to need for the problem. So let's just go ahead and jump in. When we're using the direct method, we're going to start with our beginning inventory balance, and to that we're going to add any changes for the month for our direct materials, our direct labor, and our manufacturing overhead. We're going to take a sum total of those balances, which again are my beginning balance plus my inventory changes for the month. So what did I contribute in terms of direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead? Once I know what my subtotal is sitting in my inventory for that month, I can take the number of units completed and divide that into my inventory balance to figure out what my cost per unit is. So if I take 33,000 divided by 200 units that were completed, the cost for me to complete those 200 units is $165. I know how many units I sold. It was given in the problem. So if I'm trying to calculate cost of goods sold, I'm really calculating those items that I've sold during the month and what their cost is. That's what the cost of goods sold stands for. So if I have sold 80 units during the month, I'm going to multiply it by my per unit cost to produce those 80 units, or $165, and I'm going to calculate that I have an unadjusted cost of goods sold of $13,200. The problem told me that I underapplied manufacturing overhead. What does that mean? It means that when I burdened my overhead rate, I did not burden it with enough. So my initial estimate was faulty in one way or another. In this case, I didn't apply enough of my cost to the production of my product, so I have to increase the cost of goods sold. If I underapply manufacturing overhead, I increase cost of goods sold. If I overapply manufacturing overhead, I decrease cost of goods sold. So in this case, it tells me that I underapplied by $600, and I'm just simply going to do the math to say my unadjusted cost of goods sold plus my unapplied manufacturing overhead is $13,800, and that's what my adjusted cost of goods sold balance is. So again, as you walk through this, what we calculated was a cost per unit. We applied that cost per unit to units sold, and then we made sure we accounted for any over or under adjustments in my manufacturing overhead. The second question is asking, what is the total value of finished goods inventory at the end of June? So again, we know the units that were completed. We can pick that up right here. Our units completed were, I'm going to do this over here. So units completed were given to us at 200 units. We have units that were sold, so if they were completed but we sold them, we're no longer holding on to them. So we're going to subtract out the units that were sold of 80, and we're going to have units in ending inventory is going to be the net between them, or 120. Just going to format that. Now we need to calculate the value, and what do we know from our prior problem? We know that the cost to produce a unit, so unit production cost or product cost, whatever you want to call it, is $165 per unit. If the number of units I have in ending inventory is 120 and the cost to produce each of those is 165, I'm going to just do basic multiplication to get my ending inventory in terms of dollars, and I'm going to take my 120 multiplied by my 165, and I have an ending inventory balance of $19,800. The third question is, what is the total value of work in process inventory at the end of June? And it tells us that the units in work in process at the end of June are 0. 0 times anything is 0. So there is no ending work in process inventory. If you have questions on this problem, please email me right away. As this is the last video lesson that I'll be giving for this chapter, so take time, review what you got, and call me with any questions or email me with any questions. Thank you.